We wanted to tell you our story.
There's just one thing.
You're gonna find it hard to believe.
We have explored every medical option. You couldn't have tried harder.
Tonight, let's have a kid.
You heard what the doctor said. Give it up.
Our kid would never give up.
Picasso with the pencil. Honest to a fault.
Yes.
Yes.
Our kid would rock.
Now what? We're moving on.
I guess start off by telling me how it came your way in the first place.
Well, I read the script, and Peter Hedges is a favorite writer of mine. I love his books, I love his movies, and he's a director that I would also always be really interested in working with. So when I read the script, I fell so madly in love with it, and we had a meeting, and I just said, please, how can you give this role to anyone but me? I have to play this character.
It seems like a tricky challenge to build that family dynamic on screen. What's the process of meeting your co-stars and finding that?
Well, we did read together before everyone was cast, and it was immediately evident that Joel Edgerton should play Jim, and I mean he's kind of at the cusp of just being this enormous movie star. He's so talented, and he has 5 huge movies coming out after this, so Joel is fine. And then CJ, we knew the minute we met him that no one else could be Timothy Green but CJ. He's such a special little kid. He kind of is Timothy Green, because it's like he's from a different planet. He's just such an individual and so special.
The family dynamic was easy. I mean, you know, Peter gave us the roadmap. Good writing for an actor is key, because it takes the pressure off. You don't have to act, and that's what good writing is. And the roadmap was there for us to form a family. It was just a real question of when Jennifer and I met, and when we met CJ, if the dynamic was there, and it was fine. I knew as soon as I met them both, it was going to be fine.
Well, I had to try out because, you know, we weren't quite sure about the part with me being Timothy at all, so when I tried out, it was the first time I didn't do so good, but the rest of the times I just started doing really good, I guess. And I knew Peter, so whenever I would act with him, I was really comfortable.
Tell me how this one began for you.
This began with, first of all, I had a dream that I was making a film that was different than all films I'd ever made. It was a film that was for everybody. And I sat up in bed, and my wife said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I want to make one of those movies, you know, E.T., Wizard of Oz, It's a Wonderful Life, one of those movies that people watch over and over again." She said, "That's great, go back to bed." And then I didn't go back to bed. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't come up with those ideas." I'd had a great experience before with Disney making Dan in real life. And then I had a meeting with Amit Zappa and Scott Sanders, 2 producers. Why are we meeting? Amit said, "I have the beginnings of a story about a boy who's born to a couple that can't have a kid, and he's the manifestation of all their dreams that they've written down and put in a box." And I went, I would never come up with a concept like that. Only Amit could have done that. But it felt like a jumping off point to write about everything and make a film about everything that matters to me. Family, relationships, the economy, how we keep going when we've lost our way, what children teach us, what do we owe our parents, what do our parents owe us, who owns who, does anyone own anybody, does anybody belong to anybody? But ultimately, I came to realize in writing this film that my children don't belong to me, but I belong to them.
It's almost like this is a premise that happens to lead us down an open-hearted road of kind of real life with magic thrown in that teaches us about family. The premise could easily have been a horror movie as well. You know, a kid comes out of the garden and you take him in your house and then everything wreaks havoc. But, you know, Peter is one of those rare guys who's not interested in those cool genre movies that have been that well-worn path, you know. This is a well-worn path. We all know these movies, E.T., Big, you know, It's a Wonderful Life, Mary Poppins. They're part of our story mythology. But it's not a well-worn path at the moment. It seems like everything has to be too cool. So I really like to see a movie that's a real-life, real real life movie, as in like it's not an animation, that says so much about family, and it really just is unashamedly open.
Peter does a great job of using small town America to kind of as a microcosm for America in general, and the world, that we are going through a recession, and we are losing just good, normal manufacturing jobs. They're all being outsourced, and what that does to small towns, what that does to families when you lose your job, what that does, you know, and he does a great job also of just filling the movie with all this kind of cast of real characters. I was just in my hometown in West Virginia last week, and it's full of characters. You know, those people all have oddities and interesting things about them, and I love that. He really celebrates it in this movie.
Was it fun being on set?
Yeah, I had so much fun being on set, because I mean, like, that was my main thing about movies. I always wanted to know how they film all of that and how they do all those special effects.
What kind of movies are your favorite?
I like those superhero movies, like, you know, like Avengers or like Thor, Iron Man or Captain America. That's what I like the most.
You also brought back CJ from Dan in Real Life.
Yes.
Who's an incredible talent. Did you know, making that one, that this was someone you wanted to work with again?
Oh, I knew that I wanted to be his friend for the rest of my life. Did I know that he would play the lead in Timothy Green when I was writing it? Not in my life. I assumed that we'd cast that kid who's been in all the movies. I don't know who that kid is, but I met with many of those kids who are in many movies. And they were all wonderful actors, but I was looking for something really unique. A kid who possessed a series of qualities that, you know, you'd find a kid who had the humor, but he didn't have the gravity or the intensity or the intelligence. And CJ brought it all and more.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Timothy.
54 girl names on the list.
And
one boy, and it was Timothy.
There's something you need to know about me. I came from the garden.
Where did he come from? It was all very sudden and kind of miraculous.
So you all came from your mom's tummies? Yeah. How was that?
That's not normal.
I decided our son would not be seen as different. He'd be treated like a normal kid.
Have a great day.
That's too much pressure.
Have the day you have.
Incredible.
Something special.
He's our something unexpected, our little miracle.